In today's video, I am going to talk about incorporating lock picks into my Victorinox. I used to carry both a set of lock picks just for fun and just in case I lose my bicycle key. However, over time, the added bulk and weight of carrying a Victorinox with a set of lock picks became a burden. The lock picks eventually stayed in my drawer. The idea of incorporating lock picks into the Victorinox stayed with me for a very long time, and I actually did lose my bicycle key once. Luckily, I managed to locate it at the self-checkout. In the back of my mind, I kept telling myself there has to be a way to fit the lock picks into my Victorinox, so I took out some of lock picks to take a closer look. Here I have a snake rake. I use this mostly for low security locks like cabinet and drawer locks. This is a short hook. I have more success with the snake rake than I have with the short hook, as I am not a proficient lock picker. This is how I go about incorporating the lock picks into my Victorinox. I overlay the toothpick over my lock pick. This allows me to match the width of the lock pick with the toothpick. I can now trace the width of the toothpick with my marker. Once I have the profiles, I remove the excess with my grinder. This is what it looks like after grinding. The ground pick is the actual pick profile I selected. It is slightly different from the uncut sample. And here's the short hook after grinding. The last piece is the tension wrench. The one with the shorter extension has been ground to match my knife. These are the 3 actual completed lock picks after modification. Let's now try putting these picks into the toothpick slot. I am using the longer tip of the L wrench to show why the tip has to be shortened. Ignore the protrusion for the time being. You can see that the tip extends all the way across the knife. This tip will obstruct the full opening of my screwdriver, and therefore the tip has to be shortened. However, if you shorten the tip so that it clears the screwdriver, the tip will be way too short to work as a tension wrench. The solution is to use the tweezers slot instead of the toothpick slot. I am now using the modified wrench with the proper tip length. Now the tip will no longer obstruct the full opening of the screwdriver. One trade-off with putting the tweezers in the toothpick slot is that the curve profile of the tweezers does not match the scale, as you can see here. However, we are not home yet. There is another problem. This time, the tip will obstruct the full opening of the magnifier. The solution is to cut a small notch so that it clears the tip. If you do not wish to cut the notch, you can leave it as it is, as the magnifier can be left open at an angle with no issue. Next, we are going to take a look how we deploy the lock picks. First, remove the tweezers and flip it around and put it back in. The reason for doing this is because we want the lock pick to slide in between the scale and the flush side of the tweezers. We do not want the lock pick to be sandwiched in between the liner and the tweezers, as over time, the lock pick will wedge itself in between the liner and the scale. Having the lock pick in between the scale and the tweezers will ensure there is a solid edge for the lock pick to rest against when picking. Remove all 3 lock picks and insert the desired lock pick in between the tweezers and the scale. The setup is complete and is ready for lock picking. To swap lock picks, simply remove one lock pick and replace with another. This setup is ready for raking. Now to put all the picks back into the Victorinox. Flip the tweezers around and put it back in. Insert the short hook into the opposite slot. Next, insert the snake rake back in. Finally, insert the tension wrench with the tip pointing inwards. All the lock picks are now stored inside the Victorinox. We have come to the end of this video. In the next video, I will show how I use my Victorinox built-in lock picks to open my bicyle lock shown here. I will also show how I use the snake rake to open some cabinet and drawers. If you made it this far, thank you and have a pleasant day. Bye now.